Hello, hello, people of the internet. Ian Altazar, the Freedom Astrologer, here from the Cosmic Adults, or 50% of the Cosmic Adults, and I will give it give it now to the other 50% of the Cosmic Adults, Mercedes Ann. How are you, Mercedes?
I am good, Ian. Doing great, actually. Looking forward to this week, I think. Yeah, I'm an energy healer channel, all that good stuff. Energy, that's my jam.
Nice. And guys, basically in this week. I'll start this week, and you jump in because last week we did the opposite, and I
Yeah,
was
I just sort of took
lagging back.
over. I was like, I'm not letting you go first.
um,
Go
but
go for it.
this week we're beginning this week in a very similar place where we were, guys, where we left off. Because right now all the aspects astrological what we discussed at the end of the last episode. Go check out that one. We have them really precise that the Sun and Neptune are both, you can see, trining. So the visualization, let's say, that the creative energies, that spiritual energy is very much still flowing. And we're building up to a little bit of a heavy moment there. Definitely, we're building up to that Pluto. I'll show you that one as well. We're building up to the Pluto and Moon opposition, which we mentioned a little bit. Maybe let's say a couple of words more. So it can make that home life or emotional internal life a little bit edgier. Some more difficult emotions, feelings can come up there, and we need to put in some effort to release, to heal. And even like if you notice yourself getting jealous, this can happen during a Moon Pluto opposition. It's like can make a person literally jealous.
What would you be jealous of? Where's the jealousy going to be directed?
This is a difficult one to kind of pinpoint, I would say. uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say it is a general kind of um, potential for
Like you're
it to
gonna
be.
be carrying the jealousy and then just
Mhm.
get it triggered every way.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
I
okay.
would say
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's the more, but it's
yeah.
it's still for a couple of hours. We can say it's more prominent, so it's not like super
Yeah.
anything, but it's
Hmm.
still something to be aware of in
Well, that's
general.
promising. I was when I was tuning into this day, the word that came up was spell, and it was like this visualization of this woman doing a spell on
Mm.
someone. And I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, ooh, I don't think that's a good one. I think if you're choosing to do a spell on someone, perhaps choose differently. Let's yeah, let's not mess with like karma. I think we have enough hard crap in our lives.
Guys, I think what Mercedes says literally starts, you can, let's say, it starts earlier in the day, literally, when the moon, because this is a little bit of like, we can say a magical because Neptune is here and spells, but it's a trine. So hopefully you won't go into what happens later in the day and then more, that, let's say a little bit of a darker type of energy
Yeah,
that can
let's
come out there.
let's not let's not do any abusing of things.
Yeah.
I mean, like you do you, but it's gonna come up on the test.
Okay. Think one thing maybe to mention here. Sun is separating from Neptune, so the fogginess starts to lift a little bit. Yes, maybe the creative energy, creative impulses a little bit as well start to lift. But like the good thing about when these two start to separate, I still like to say like the confusion. Sometimes we can even be a little bit lazier during these Sun Neptune conjunctions and just be like, ugh, Netflix, whatever, blah, put it on. And now it starts to separate and it gets easier moving forward with those energies.
Very, very positive. I feel like I want to say, like, I want to ask you a question
Mm-hmm.
about jealousy because that's what we're talking about. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
jealousy is a very tough emotion. Like,
Oh yes.
I know I've certainly had my fair share of jealousy come up, and even still, like, do my best, but it still does come up. It's something we deal with. So like, and I mean, I want to say in particular with women, like, I'm not a man. I don't
Yeah.
know that side of it. So like, tell me more. Tell us us fellow cosmic adults more.
I mean, men definitely get jealous. There's no denying that, and I think it's a little bit more suppressed jealousy type of thing. And it
Mm.
later on, if it's not dealt with internally, it starts to get put out into the world as aggression. A lot of it goes to
Yeah, I
aggression.
was gonna say that, like, jealousy turning into like anger, turning into
No.
the action of like harm or whatever. Yeah.
That can really happen for men. I personally have a really, I would say, an intense practice that I like to, and I used a lot in the past. These days, I use a little bit less. And I just, if it's literally guys for you, if it's like your spouse or woman or whoever it is cheating on you physically. So what I do is if I get that fear, I literally go into myself and allow all of that fear, or usually it's sometimes a visualization fantasy in your brain, in your mind. I allow it all to come up. I let in my mind, I let my fiance cheat on me, I let everything that I'm afraid of happening happen to me in my visualizations, feelings, sensations. And actually, when you do that and you do it properly, go into it deeply,
Mm-hmm.
you get into a space of like, oh, so that's fun. That's nothing to do with me. And you're kind of like free and liberated. It's so freaking awesome to feel that.
I love
Uh,
that. Wow,
yeah.
that's wild, dude.
And it
But
depends. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean that's maybe not like like even you talking about it like makes me feel a little scared. Like it makes me feel scared to do something like that.
I know. I
Like
know.
yeah, it's like what if like I think my jealousy would be like someone being like more gifted than me or
Hmm.
more whatever. Like,
Then go
oh,
into it. They do use the
oh.
same. Use the same. It applies still. Like let's say I think that this was going to be my next thing, because you work in the kind of healing and psychic intuitive world. I'm in that
Mhm.
world as well, but I have astrology. That similar worlds but a little bit different. But
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
when you see somebody in your profession, in your career, like maybe they're awesome, they're getting attention, they're getting they're doing all these things that maybe you don't yet know about, you have your stuff, but this jealousy comes up there still.
Yeah,
Do
certainly does. And I hate to admit that. I really do, but it's the reality. Like I want to be
Yeah.
blessing everyone, but there's that little thing inside there that's like the little button.
Here, I think for me, I've solved these in a couple of ways. So the first thing is still the thing, allowing it to happen, allowing somebody to
Okay.
just get the most attention in your brain, in your visuals. If it happens in the real world, let it happen. Just let them be the best. Let them be blah 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 blah. Whatever it is that you're fearing and being really scared of. And the second part is to really like go into the situation. Okay, so if they get this attention, if they are more gifted, what does it mean for me? Is it a survival thing? Will I lose clients? These are very,
Mm,
very often the things
hmm.
that come. Or
Yeah.
won't have money if I promote them. Da 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 da
Hmm.
da.
Hmm.
And then, oh, my survival. Oh, I can't pay my bills. And actually, the jealousy there in the deeper sense is to do with survival, and money
Yeah,
and these types
I
of
think you're
areas.
right. Because it's sort of absurd, right?
8 billion people,
There's 8 billion.
crazy. And
Just
you
like a yeah.
and you think you're going to, if you promote somebody who actually you look up to and maybe admire, and maybe you just are good friends with, or whatever the situation
Yeah.
is, you're
No.
not going to have enough clients. That's a crazy thought, actually.
Yeah,
and that
totally.
and if you do it, actually, this is one of the things I've seen. Actually, your heart opens while doing it.
Oh.
And I mean, you don't have to immediately make a friend, but you make a connection, and that connection can turn into all sorts of magical collaborations, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win
Totally.
mostly.
And I think that's me normally. Like I personally like in my life as like what I do like in the other life that I live. It's like I constantly refer to people in my same niche, same profession, because I believe that everyone has a place. Everyone has different gifts, and I think that it's not going to be one person that helps someone. It's going to be a big group of people, and
Exactly.
everyone needs to have big networks and of solid, skilled people that have good hearts. So it's important to look for that for sure. But that first initial ping sometimes is that,
Exactly.
oh no, what about me? Am I gonna survive? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So
Just
go into it.
go into it and ask literally from a very practical point of view, what does it actually mean in my mind, in my consciousness? What does it mean that if they get this attention, they get more? What happens to
Yeah.
me?
If the cheating happens or the
If that,
whatever happens. Yeah. Like, what does it mean? Okay, cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Be more
14th.
free.
Be
Free,
more
free,
free.
free. March 4th.
That will liberate you, yeah?
Yeah, no doubt. Go into the hardest thing possible.
Exactly.
Oi. Okay, Monday the 14th. What's up? What's up in
So
the
what's
astro?
up? Like astrologically, it's a weird one again. Like I mentioned in some of our previous episodes, the moon is again in a usually a jolly sign, Leo. Like yeah, fun,
Woo
being wanting
woo.
to be in those entertainment spaces, wanting to be performing, da da da, kind of like
Yeah.
enjoying ourselves. But again, difficult aspects coming in from Uranus, from Mars, from Venus, from Saturn. So that will dial it right down. So that fun and
Hmm.
entertainment will be like interrupted first and
Yeah.
foremost, and
Huh.
it won't feel as good as it usually feels.
I also kind of feel like Leo, and I love Leos, by the way. And I think there's sometimes a little bit of a laziness
Oh
that
yeah.
accompanies the Leo, where it's like, I am the king lion sitting in the grass and everything will come to me and I enjoy my life. But so I feel like there's like this action needed or something like that.
It can get like literally just, but in this case we can say that it's actually a little bit of a good, because hard aspects like oppositions and squares usually agitate us a little bit or a lot to get that action out of us. It won't be comfortable, but it will be like, yeah, oh fuck, I have to do it.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
so the word that came to me, the word
uh,
is intuitive.
Intuitive.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, Leo is a very intuitive sign as well. You know, it's a very spiritually connected sign. So I think
Hmm.
that is one of the things that is happening there
Yeah.
with
And
in
I
during
think
that
it's
day.
just as a personal like note, I think a lot more Leos have been coming into my life
Mm.
in an interesting twist of events. Because I don't normally come in contact with a lot of Leos. Like I'm usually surrounded by like Virgo or other water signs or whatever. And it's like really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, intuitive. And I feel like hmm, yeah, lean into where you are intuitive. What I hear and feel is like I feel like a lot of people are going to start recognizing their gifts if you
Leo.
haven't already.
That's a lot of Leo.
Is it? Oh, interesting.
These are the
Interesting.
gifts. These are the gifts we are literally born with. Is Leo and the Sun.
Oh. Because where is Leo? Okay, so the zodiac starts with Aries, hey?
The fifth.
Aries,
The fifth one.
Leo's the fifth. Oh, okay. Because from what I understand, each sign builds on the last, right?
Yes, exactly.
So then when we get all the way to Pisces, we've got all the integrations of all of them.
Yes, 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 exactly.
Interesting. Okay. Anyways, I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but okay. 15th.
15th. Let's go into the 15th now.
Let's go.
15th. You know, the moon is still in Leo. We get an opposition, exact opposition from Saturn. Dampens the mood,
Oof.
dampens the heart opening. Let's say because it's easier to open your heart when you're and when the moon is in Leo for 2.5 days during the month. You know, you just expand. But now Saturn comes in, it's like, are you sure? Are you sure you can do it? And you just have to kind of not totally force, but there's more effort needed for you to open that heart of yours. There.
Aha. Yep.
It's not easy.
Yeah, well, and I thought it was interesting at that last Leo full moon. The full moon, the last one was the Leo full moon.
Yes.
Because I think that you had said something about how the highest expression of Leo is the heart open.
Yes.
Which
exactly.
I think is awesome. I love that.
Like when the Leo is living their lives fully, the heart is fully open. It's all encompassing. It's all giving. Yes, there are certain kinds of boundaries there, but it's still it's like the most benevolent king you can imagine in your mind.
The king. I always forget about that aspect of it. The king.
Because modern astrology is so much like ego and selfish. Actually Leo is the king, but it's the good benevolent king.
I think a lot of people with astrology, like when you have like a basic knowledge of it, let's say, the tendency is to go to the negative. Like,
Yes,
what's the shittiest thing about this sign? And I'm gonna hate on them for it. Like Pisces, oh, you alcoholic dreamer. It's like, yikes, bro. Thanks.
Yeah, maybe slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, geez, just to
know me first.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. Okay, 16th. Yeah, we're kind of whipping through. There's nothing like going on that I think that's crazy, but
now we're getting.
Do you want to know what the word for the 16th was? And I was like, no, I don't want this word. The word came. It was lockdown.
Lockdown. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I think, obviously my fear is like the thing that shall not be named. The Voldemort of our generation. Oh my gosh. But also like, okay, we've been talking about Leo and the heart opening.
Yeah.
And like maybe perhaps a lockdown of the heart or a lockdown of a certain aspect of yourself. I think there's an opportunity there for that to happen, and then you get to sort of choose the higher or the higher path, or lock down and become that I don't know, locked down individual.
The kind of correlation I see from astrology is the moon is going to be entering Virgo that day. So
that makes me just like
unfortunately, that is a part of it. It's one of the most gifted healer moons actually in
Is it?
Yes. Because Virgo, again, at its peak, at its highest form, is literally healing people, helping others less fortunate than you, and that really gives the let's say the emotional understanding with these people and understanding what they're going through. But the negative side or the harder side of living with that moon is literally that it will make usually the upbringing pretty strict, like you said.
Right. So you're talking about a natal Virgo moon.
I'm talking about a natal, but it's literally when you go into, let's say, observe, guys. I literally invite you to observe what is happening during moon cycles. It's one of the most powerful things you can do it, and you could do it every month quickly. But if the moon enters Virgo, everybody can get that, and oh, this is wrong. Those details. Every type of thing needs to be perfect, and the maybe more positive side of this is like, yes, we are more drawn to helping others and be of service. So that's the good thing, and we're very practical and earthly during this time, during these 2.5 days.
I apologize for my Virgo prejudice because I like that highest expression of Virgo. And I think that's what I see a lot in a lot of Virgo people that I meet, like that have that Virgo energy, where I'm like, I'm seeing this amazing person and they refuse to be it. And it's like, oh, come on. It's just so hard. I think that's like part of one of the wounds of the healer, perhaps, is,
Yeah, exactly.
Just in general, is wanting the best for people and wanting people to, whoever's in front of you, to be that best expression of who they are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Couple of not so easy, because it's It's
So when the moon rolls into Virgo, don't lock it down. Let it flow. Be real. Pull out the Pisces while you're in the Virgo. Be on that balance board, right in the center.
Well,
I feel like I'm gonna say that a lot.
that's an important thing to do.
Be in center. This too shall pass. Okay, are we looking at the 17th now? I like that.
17th.
Roll, let's go. Yeah.
We're looking.
What do you got? What do you got?
Now, luckily, now when the moon is in Virgo, it still gets an opposition, and now usually an opposition is considered as a harder aspect, but it's getting an opposition from Mercury and Jupiter, so that's not actually, that's pretty okay, at least. So that emotional, let's say, strictness or tied downness gets a momentary boost from Jupiter. Right. The thing is, Jupiter can make it for the moment, for a couple of hours, like overflowing, but the Virgo groundedness, the earthliness of Virgo should keep it down. So it should be an emotional, at least pleasant time. What makes me a little bit hesitant in saying that is that we're actually building up for the full moon. So whenever we're building up for the full moon, some of the, let's say, usual descriptions or usual things that we feel and experience, they start to get a little bit hazier, let's say, or a little bit, the ground is not so secure as always. It's more emotional, even if the full moon that we're building up is in the earthly Virgo. Even then, it gets a little tiny bit emotional there.
So when is the full moon?
So when we're going into the full moon, I think it's already, for me here in Europe, yes, it's the 18th. I think for you guys, it's barely the 17th, so late 17th.
Okay. So that is this week then. Interesting.
So that is this week, and we're building up.
Full moon, here we go. And it will be in Virgo?
It will be in Virgo, last degrees of Virgo.
Wow.
As well. So lots
with
of
that opposition.
It's yeah. There are good things here. If we want to go into them, yeah.
Well, the 17th is that. I feel like I got lost somewhere. I got left behind.
Let's pull it back.
Okay. Because what I was picking up on was light. It was not a word, actually. It was instructions, and it is light a candle. Light a candle in a obviously safe, well ventilated freaking area. But that it could be like a literal candle, or I believe it could be a candle inside of yourself. It feels like, to me, it feels a bit of like there's some mourning going on, like grief a bit. Like how, I don't know, I was raised Catholic in a Catholic church, and there was always like this little area where you could light a candle and say a prayer and of course put money in.
Of course.
Yeah, gotta put the dollar bills in there. But I feel that there's some grief here. There's some grief in the world, in everyone, you know, and it's not that there's maybe an immediate thing, but everyone carries grief in some way or shape or form. Um, and light a candle, do something significant in order to let that go. And full moon coming up, I mean, isn't that about letting go?
It's definitely a lot about letting go. Many things the full moon definitely is about. Letting go is one of them. It's just like
Yeah.
the emotions can be bubbling here, maybe tiny bit less because it's happening in
Mhm.
earthly Virgo, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Anyone going through grief though at this time, like, you know, we see you. We hear you. We've got all the compassion in the world for that, all the space in the world.
One of the things it does do, it makes it, because let me just bring it up a little bit, because it's, you know, you can see it's starting to make this earthly grand trine here actually. So the exact grand trine will be with Pluto, Uranus a little bit further
Hmm.
away.
Okay.
So that's a like a quite a positive in a way full moonish. If we don't, won't mention Neptune right now. That can make it a little bit confusing. But
Our homeboy Neptune.
Homeboy Neptune is kind of murking the waters there. But with the Pluto exact trine, I think it's actually what Mercedes says that like the building up to the full moon, it will make it not overly emotional, but it will make it a little bit easier to go into these deep spaces. And if you have that grief,
Mm.
if you have some emotions, feelings to let go of, it's almost like a practical way to letting go of, like lighting a candle, doing something you can find in the earthly realms to help you even let go of it.
Hmm. Yeah, well, and r- remembering back to like episode 1, and this is probably something I'm going to repeat over and over and over again. The reason why we do this, why why we go through these things, why we work through and let go of all these attachments to emotions and whatever else and to our past and whatever is for freedom, is for the joy, the goodness on the other side, so that you aren't walking around with baggage. Like in the Egyptian belief where, you know, when you pass on to the other side, your heart is weighed against the feather. It's like travel light, allow your heart to be light. That's the whole point.
I
Well,
think the
maybe
energy
not
is
the
there.
whole point, but it's a point.
The energy is there to let some of that go, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like there's someone out there going through it. So we see you. You got this.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Neptune isn't all bad. Neptune is healing as well. So
Oh, Neptune. Neptune is the homeboy. Like Neptune's like the OG. You know what, actually? So obviously you know my chart. I don't necessarily want to share like everything about my chart, but there's a lot of water, right? And when okay, this has been a trend in my life, and I don't want to be like all ego, but this has happened enough times that it's a thing. Whenever I feel that I'm being mistreated or when I am being mistreated in my life, whoever that person will have like leaks and floods and all kinds of water damage to different types of property and
Jesus,
things. Yeah, it's really interesting. So I'm like interested in that.
that's an interesting observation. Like that's, it's hard to get a lot of data for something like
Yeah.
that, but you
It's
know,
happened enough
yeah.
times that I'm like,
Hmm.
what? What?
God, I need to start
Oh,
making
your basement
observations.
flooded. Interesting.
Because you want to know something funny? Because I have a lot of fire. I want to know if somebody starts
Oh,
mistreating me. I hope not. Maybe it's too much, but just an
yeah, maybe you have
observation.
a fiery homeboy out there.
Yep.
Or homegirl.
Uh, yeah, guys. So end of week. we're literally in the full moon energy, so
Okay, so that's the 18th, eh?
that's the 18th, so the Friday. So yeah, even if you're Canada, yeah, so still around 18th, definitely will feel it very strong. Late
Sweet.
17th for others.
Okay, cool.
Now the last day, are
Um,
we? Or did you pick
18th.
did you pick a
18th.
day?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah. Well, 18th is overachieve to fatigue, is what I got. So it's like, you know, watch it.
I mean,
Watch it. Watch what you're doing.
this really brings in the Earth, because Earth is all about material achievement as well. So
Okay, yeah. And I think those Virgos out there, Virgos, love ya, love ya. You know, take a break. Take a break at some point in your day. Overachieve to fatigue. You're just, you know, this goes for anyone, but know when you need rest. And if you don't take rest, your body will take it for you. Your body will choose it. So before it's inconvenient for you, take your time.
yeah,
I was actually just talking to someone about that, about how they feel anxious if they're not being productive.
yep. Because
And it's like,
okay, good.
yeah, no, I feel fabulous when I'm resting. I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be if I'm resting.
It's still you. I haven't had something disprove me what I'm about to say, so it's still very often from the childhood environment. So somebody there was constantly like, okay, you need to do this, or if they weren't
Right.
doing something, the parent was like, you need to da 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 da, or the parent
Right.
themselves was like that, like da da da, constantly just like doing.
Right.
So
And it's up to us to break cycles like that.
exactly. So the bigger, also what I've very much seen in Virgos, the bigger belief there is, if I'm not productive, if I'm not useful, if I'm not useful, this is pretty big one. If I'm not useful, then I'm not loved. And if I'm useful, I'm
Right.
loved. At least I get some attention from my caregivers.
Right. Interesting. So that would be something to really distract yourself from.
Yeah. Or
And that's okay.
heal.
That's okay. Distract yourself all you want. And then one day when you're ready, have a little look. Have a peek.
Yeah, that requires, I think, a bigger look, but yeah.
A big look.
Start with small looks.
start with very small looks.
Peaks here and there.
Peek. Yeah. My nephew, instead of peekaboo, he goes peek.
So end of
Saturday,
week.
19th.
Yeah, final day, guys. And before
Final
even
day.
Libra moon. So again,
Oh,
we're
popping out of the old Virgo
it's like,
into the Libra.
it's a little bit more pleasant and enjoyable after that new moonish kind of heaviness and intensity, earthly
Right.
things there. So
Okay.
yeah. You
I
wanna
got
go?
archaeology, digging things up. Dig. And I think ancient things, you know, I don't, maybe I almost feel this on like a global sort of scale, you know, and I don't want to be making bold predictions here, but like something being dug up, you know, whether that's emotionally or some kind of like something. I think we could be seeing a little bit of something being uncovered.
This is interesting. So I have one thing that I want to mention that is a little bit different, and some things that really tie into this, because we have an interesting configuration between Moon is starting to make a square again to Pluto. You know, we've been kind of discussing it so much, you know, the things coming out. But before it makes that square to Pluto, it makes an opposition to Chiron. Now,
Ooh,
It's
Chiron. Can
it's
we
a
talk about Chiron? Can you give a short maybe explanation about Chiron and why we both kind of go?
it's it's the deepest wound. It's it's it,
Yeah.
it's not the easiest of
I,
influences in the chart. It's
I
kind of
feel, yeah, I feel that's the archaeology is that it is the deepest, the oldest, yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you
no,
there.
no, that's good.
Carry on.
That's really what it is, guys. If you're listening to this, and sometimes these are very deep, and it's so kind of profound in our lives. It's like Mercedes says, we need
Mm-hmm.
to dig deep, and Pluto will make it
Mm-hmm.
a little bit uncomfortable for us. But again,
Mm-hmm.
whenever Pluto makes it uncomfortable, it makes it so that we can dig it out. We have no
So
choice.
Chiron, well, yeah. I feel like Chiron is that wound that just lays you out. That lays you out that you can't even function, you know?
That's well
Well,
said.
maybe is it Wilson? Whenever you pause like that, I always get insecure and I'm like, did
No,
I
it's
say it wrong?
no,
That's
no, no.
that's that's childhood. Jeez. Okay. Back in. I'm back in it. So Chiron feels like the wound that lays you out, that you can't even think, you can't function, everything shuts down, you're just like in survival, big time. And Pluto, I don't know. I want to say Pluto's like just like the deep and dark. So the two of these doing a little bit of a dance, it feels very, very hard, but also very rewarding at the end if you do it correctly. If you like take the opportunity of where this energy is to do it like Nike.
Yeah, it's it's uncomfortable, guys. I don't even know. It's like it's hard to even find words for it, but like it's a
Hmm.
wide T square here. So
Oh, a T square. What's a T square
so
again?
T square
I've heard it as an ominous thing.
it, it isn't like it's a again what's the word, English word, when energy is coming together in a bit of a hard way, let's say in certain areas of your lives, and it gets so uncomfortable, it's hard to be in that, but the release is always with at the epicenter, in this case the Pluto. So the childhood wounds, emotional wounds, can make it painful, and now Pluto here at the epicenter is basically asking you to,
Mm,
transform, 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 transform.
yeah. Is that Libra moon potentially a little bit of lightness there
Yes,
for the
totally,
for the for the situation, right? Because
totally.
it's all about balance. The universe is always balancing us all out. So, always looking for that good standing in the center. Um,
It will
and
help. It will help definitely, the Libra moon. It's a pleasant
and
moon again.
good. Thank God. And, and what's can you give us a short maybe description about Pluto? Because I feel like we kind of talk about it a bit as like, what it is, but
Pluto is actually a little bit similar to Chiron. Both talk about very deep wounds. Maybe the Chiron, is the deepest wounds, is the deepest of the deepest wounds, but Pluto is also the deepest wound. But it's also the transformer of these wounds. It's the the phoenix who rises after the transformation of these wounds. And the lighter side of Pluto, sometimes it can be taken as a dark side, but it's bringing things up from dark to the light to be again
mm,
transformed, and the phoenix can be born after that
right, right.
difficult process.
Because that's the point of what we're doing.
Yeah,
Dang,
it's money,
cool.
and it's money and power as well. If you want to,
Money and power.
if you want to
Isn't
go,
Pluto like taboo stuff
oh
too?
yes,
Like
sexual
ruler of
stuff.
Scorpio, like
Yeah,
all the un below the surface, like all
totally.
the hell stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much. I
Huh.
mean, there's so much to talk about Pluto.
Yeah.
It requires, I think, a 10-hour episode, maybe 4 hour. I
Yeah.
don't know, a long one.
No doubt. I feel like what I want to say is like Chiron's the deepest wound and Pluto's the darkest wound.
That's a good differentiation, I think.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, you guys
Let,
enjoy that full moon in Virgo.
uh, there's one piece I wanted to
Oh, you want
mention
to
here
add?
because there's one little thing
Oh, here we
that is
go.
that is happening here, and we're building up because Uranus
Okay.
and Venus
Okay.
have been getting into a square, and it becomes precise on the 19th. So Uranus and
Ooh.
Venus in a square. Let's talk about the pleasant ones first, and maybe let's start with the darker ones before the
Let's
difficult
glance.
ones.
Yeah, can we have the bad news first?
Yeah. So the bad news is, shocking events in your partnerships, relationships. Maybe, a relationship partner comes in with a shocking news to you and it's like, ugh, I don't like this at all. Or, even just be careful with, rash reactions in relationships. This can, it doesn't mean that you're going to break up, but it is an energy that is, hard to manage in a relationship setting. So it brings those reactions. You said this, and oh, you did something, and now I understand it on a weird level, and it brings that annoyance into that relationship. Um, and
So when your partner busts through the door, remain calm.
remain calm. Remain calm and listen to what they have to say first.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just like,
Was it
yeah.
yeah, I feel like people usually have a good reason for everything that they do. It's like, yeah, trying to keep that neutrality. I get you.
Um, what did I want to say? Maybe
The good news. What's the
spending money too quickly can be here as well. So be on the lookout. The good news we can dig out from this is, you can fall in love quite quickly. Maybe all of a sudden somebody, from your friendship circle, oh, this seems so amazing, and you fall in love with them. The tiny bit of annoyance here is it can last for a very short time. Sorry, guys.
Thanks for that news.
But it can be something pleasant all of a sudden as
Yeah.
well coming to you that kind of like rocks your world, but yeah.
Is that, well, I mean, transform and level up, right? This feels like that whole like Venus retrograde thing that we had
Mm.
a couple of months ago.
We can make some comparisons, I think, there.
We compared to
I mean, it
like,
can.
I'm not gonna lie, that was absolute freaking hell for me. Obviously, I was like not doing something right in the past and had to atone.
It wasn't the easiest of times, I don't think, for anyone, unfortunately. We can say that Venus is in a bit of a, because what makes it a little bit easier, guys. It's these two have mutual reception. Uranus does well in Aquarius; it's its home sign. Venus it does well in Taurus. So that these shocking events can be a little bit, hopefully, not the worst. Sometimes it can literally be, some sort of financial opportunity or something we want to buy, and we need to decide quickly, and maybe it's not the right decision, but it's not, super bad as well. Something like even very practical as well can come up.
I
Or
like
maybe,
that.
maybe a quick reaction towards something your friend did or a partner did. That's it.
Right. Right.
Doesn't have to be super dramatic always.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Of course it does.
Yeah. Yes, it does. And if it's not dramatic, we need to tell it in a story that makes it seem dramatic.
Of course. Of course. So guys,
Oh
I think
my
that's it for
goodness.
this week.
Yeah,
Or do you
I
have
think
anything?
so. Well, just the archaeology came up a couple times when you were saying like dig for this, dig for that. And like, yeah, keep it, just know that the bones are buried. Just because they're buried doesn't mean they don't exist. Do we need to dig them up? I don't know. That's up to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's that. Well, yeah. Enjoy the full moon.
Enjoy the full moon, guys.
everyone. And what are we going into next week? What's the that'll be the 20th to the 26th. So tune in next week for more cosmic adult goodness.
Thank you very much, guys, for watching, listening. See you again soon.